You wake in a chamber that knows no mercy. Its walls are stone, damp and cold, and they breathe the stale odor of sweat, fear, and olive oil. The air clings to your skin, as though it has absorbed the pain of those who came before you. A sliver of light cannot reach this place, and yet you hear laughter distant, muffled by marble, but sharp enough to pierce your gut. It is not the laughter of joy, but of men who find amusement in another's humiliation. Your body still aches from last night. Bruises bloom purple and yellow across your ribs like grotesque flowers. The iron shackle on your ankle has rubbed flesh raw, crusted blood flaking as you shift. The rhythm of footsteps draws closer, heavy sandals slapping marble, echoing with dreadful familiarity. You know that sound. The overseer, a mountain of scars, cruelty mapped into the lines of his face. He pushes open the iron door, harsh sunlight slicing into the darkness, blinding you for a moment. "Clean yourself," he growls, tossing a damp cloth at your feet. His eyes assess you like livestock. "Tonight, guests will arrive, powerful men of Athens. You will entertain them. You know all too well what that means. 15 years old, though you stopped counting birthdays when you were taken. In this place, time is not measured by seasons, but by humiliations endured. You are not a son, not a brother, not even human. You are property. The path that brought you here was paved by desperation. Perhaps your father owed money to a wealthy landowner, debts that strangled the family like a noose. Perhaps raiders swept through your village, taking bodies as easily as plunder. Or perhaps, the cruelest fate of all, you were simply born beautiful, your youth and features marked as currency, in a world where beauty could be harvested and sold. Life in your village had always balanced on the edge of survival. Mud brick houses clustered near olive groves, children running naked in the dust, laughter mingling with the bleating of goats. Mothers ground barley at dawn, while fathers coaxed crops from stubborn earth. But then came drought. The olive trees bore shriveled fruit. The barley fields turned brittle brown. The wells coughed up mud instead of water. One by one, families sold what little they had: livestock, jewelry, even heirlooms carried through generations. And when all else was gone, only children remained. The slavers arrived like vultures. Their ropes and chains gleamed like serpents in the sunday. They spread silver on the table with hands soft from profiting on others' hunger. 20 years of service for enough coin to keep your family through winter, they offered. Desperation made it sound generous. You were 12. You didn't understand the mathematics of despair, only that your father would not meet your eyes as he bartered your future, and that your mother covered her face and wept. The merchant checked your teeth, your muscles, your breeding, as though you were a colt. Each coin that clinked into your father's palm was a year of your life slipping away. They told you lies to ease the pain. You'll return wealthy, they said. You'll be treated well. You'll learn valuable skills. This is your chance. Sweet promises, like honey dripping from a poisoned comb. The journey to Athens was a nightmare stitched from iron and dust. Chained by the neck, boys staggered in a line that stretched like a broken serpent across the countryside. The younger ones cried for mothers, until their voices failed. Overseers beat silence into those who resisted. You marched past landscapes that might have been beautiful, the sea glittering like spilled jewels, eagles wheeling above mountains, groves of ancient olives. But beauty does not exist when you are shackled. The world shrinks to the clink of chain against chain and the ragged breath of the boy before you. At night, they drove stakes into the ground and fastened your collars to them. You slept in dirt, listening to muffled sobs, the iron biting your neck like fate itself. Sometimes visitors came to inspect the merchandise. Farmers checked for strength and endurance. Household masters examined compliance and temperament. But the worst were the men with perfumed robes and rings, glinting like captured stars. Their touch lingered, eyes devouring youth as though it were wine. They were not searching for labor. They were searching for pleasure. The Athens slave market was chaos incarnate. The shouts of bargaining overlapped with the cries of the condemned. The stench fear, urine, sweat, and something fouler still hung heavy in the air. Naked bodies stood on platforms like cattle. Toddlers clutching their mothers' skirts. Old men with bent backs. Youths with terror in their eyes. Buyers circled them like sharks. Before auction, they oiled your skin so that your body shone under the sun, muscles highlighted for display. They stripped you not just of clothing, but of personhood. You stood before the crowd as the auctioneer boomed your age, your region, your gentle temperament. Men leaned forward, eyes bright with a hunger that made your stomach clench. Hands pried open your mouth, measured your grip, ran through your hair. You ceased to be a child. You became an object. The man who bought you Lysander looked satisfied even before the coins left his hand. A wealthy Athenian draped in silk-dyed purple, his soft hands uncalloused by labor, his smile that of one who sees property, not person. His household towered over the city, marble columns, painted walls, mosaics of gods, whose stony eyes bore witness to human misery. Servants scurried in corridors like shadows. Many were young, beautiful, hollow-eyed. Demetrius, the overseer, took charge of you. Once a slave himself, he had clawed into power by mastering cruelty. He set the rules with the precision of a general. 2 meals a day, clothes once a week, no speaking unless addressed, no eye contact with free men, no refusal of orders. You are here to serve in whatever capacity the master requires, he said, a cruel smile twisting his face. The basement became your home cells carved in stone, each with a straw mattress, thin blanket, and chamber pot. Other boys occupied them too. Marcus, with eyes that carried pain too deep for his age. Alexios, scarred from beatings, who whispered of Symposium Nights. And Philemon, only 14, his spirit already hollowed, who revealed the truth. Slaves were not just for service, they were for entertainment. The symposium was celebrated in Greek culture as a feast of philosophy, men reclining with wine, debating justice, art, and politics. But as the cups refilled, the masks slipped. Discussions dissolved into crude jokes, competitions of cruelty, and demands for entertainment. And the entertainment was you, bathed, oiled, dressed in tunics designed to reveal rather than conceal. You were paraded before the guests like ornaments. At first, requests were small: pour wine, massage shoulders, feed grapes. Then came the hand on your back, the grip that would not release, the laughter as you struggled. You remember that night with searing clarity. How protests were silenced, how your body was pinned, how your childhood ended. The philosophers who wrote poetry about the human soul reduced you to nothing more than flesh. Afterwards, you lay on your straw mattress staring at the ceiling. Your body ached, but the wound in your spirit was worse. You were no longer a boy. You were an object of pleasure in a house where marble mosaics concealed horrors the city would never admit. And this was only the beginning. The months that follow erode your spirit in ways you could never have imagined. What began as horror becomes routine, each violation pressed into the rhythm of household life. The cruelty is not random, it is deliberate, sophisticated. Isolation is the overseer's most effective weapon. You are cut off from your name, your language, the songs of your village. They dress you in their clothes, feed you their food, demand you worship their gods. Slowly, the boy you once were is erased, replaced by something they can mold. Unpredictability completes the work. You never know when you will be summoned, what task will be demanded, what punishment awaits for even the smallest mistake. Fear gnaws at you constantly, hollowing you from within. The hypocrisy of your captors is a theater you are forced to watch. In the dining halls, men of Athens, philosophers, merchants, statesmen recline on couches and speak of virtue, justice, the rights of citizens. By day, they are hailed as paragons of civilization. By night, they strip themselves of pretense, reducing slaves to toys. Dionysius, the politician famed for speeches on civic virtue, delights in humiliating boys while quoting Homer. Cleomenes, the generous merchant praised for funding public works, hides behind a mask of benevolence while inflicting scars for his amusement. Most grotesque of all is the sophist philosopher, who lectures on ethics yet twists philosophy into justification for every cruelty. To them, there is no contradiction. Slaves, they say, are outside morality. Property has no soul. Years stretch on, measured not in birthdays but in abuses survived. You learn strategies of survival: how to read a guest's eyes, how to anticipate moods, how to retreat deep inside yourself, until your body becomes a shell housing, a spirit too far away to touch. Survival demands surrender. Each act of compliance chips away at your dignity, until one night, during a cruel symposium game devised by drunken aristocrats, something inside you breaks completely. They treat you like a plaything, laughing as they compete in humiliations, and you realize terrifyingly that you no longer see yourself as human. You have become what they wanted. An object, pliant, hollow. The last thread connecting you to your boyhood snaps. Strangely, it brings relief. Without hope, there is no pain. Your compliance is rewarded. Better clothes, slightly better food, a cell with a small window. Other slaves look on with envy, but also pity. They know what has been lost in exchange. And yet fragments of your old self resurface at unexpected moments. Once, at the slave market, you help Demetrius inspect new boys, assessing them as livestock, using the cold vocabulary you once heard applied to yourself. Then you see one boy, dark-haired, frightened, with the same desperate gaze you once carried. For the first time in years, something stirs in your chest. A memory of running through mountain meadows, of your mother's laughter. The recognition is so painful you almost collapse. You bury it quickly, claiming illness. But you know now, the boy you once were still lingers somewhere deep inside. Time becomes slippery. You no longer know your age, though your body bears the truth. Scars that ache in damp weather, a cough that rattles your chest, joints stiff from beatings. Guests no longer fight to claim you. Newer, unbroken slaves have replaced you, their beauty still sharp enough to entice. One morning, Demetrius delivers the verdict without malice or sympathy. You are being sold to a mining camp. Your value as entertainment has declined. You will serve now as labor. Everyone knows what this means. The mines are death sentences, written in stone dust and collapsed tunnels. The final night in your cell, Marcus, somehow still alive, now serving Lysander's wife, presses a small sharpened piece of metal into your hand. He does not explain. He does not need to. With it, you could pick a lock, or slit a vein, or drive it into a master's throat. He gives you the gift of choice, a rarity in a life defined by chains. You spend the night staring at the shard, weighing each possibility. Escape, revenge, self-determined death. But at dawn, you choose differently. You hide the shard in a place another slave might find. Your own story is ending, but theirs still continue. You leave them a fragment of hope, however fragile. The journey to the mines cuts through landscapes that awaken memories long buried. Mountain passes where you once chased goats. Streams where you caught fish with your bare hands. Villages that could have been your own. You do not try to flee the chains and guards make it impossible, but you say silent farewells to the world. To the eagles overhead, to the wildflowers on the roadside, to the sound of wind in pine trees that reminds you of your father's voice. The camp is worse than rumor. Narrow tunnels collapse without warning, crushing men into silence. Dust shreds your lungs until every breath feels like knives. Quotas are impossible, designed to kill slowly while wringing out the last drop of labor. Yet even here, slaves forge a hidden society. They share scraps of food, whisper names of lost loved ones, preserve fragments of language and memory. They bear witness to each other's humanity, a quiet defiance in a place built to strip it away. Your own end arrives quietly. One collapse too many, one coughing fit too long. You sink into darkness surrounded by fellow slaves who promise to remember your name, to speak it when they can, to ensure you are not completely erased. In a world that denied you humanity, memory becomes your only monument. But your story does not end with your death. It echoes, faint but insistent, across centuries. For behind every marble column of Athens, every line of poetry, every debate on virtue and democracy, lay voices like yours silenced, forgotten, ground into dust to sustain the brilliance above. Civilization has always extracted beauty from suffering, enlightenment from darkness. And if we look honestly at our own time, the pattern has not changed. Children still disappear into systems of exploitation trafficked for labor or pleasure. Corporations still thrive on invisible suffering, producing goods on the backs of the powerless while presenting polished faces to the world. Social media algorithms designed to connect instead profit from despair, pushing the vulnerable into spirals of self-destruction. We congratulate ourselves on progress, but cruelty has simply evolved more hidden, more efficient, more deniable. The Athenians spoke of virtue while degrading the young. We speak of human rights while buying products made by unseen children. They poured wine as boys wept in silence. We scroll past headlines about exploitation numbed by repetition. The faces change, the technologies evolve, but the core transaction endures. Some people's pain converted into others' comfort. Perhaps the most haunting truth is that cruelty thrives, not despite human brilliance but alongside it. The same society that gave us democracy also normalized slavery. The same world that celebrates technological miracles tolerates exploitation. We build temples to progress while burying the broken at their foundations. The boy who once gazed at mountain skies died nameless in a mine, unrecorded by history. And yet, his cry lingers. It reminds us that civilizations are not measured by their art or politics alone, but by how they treat the powerless. His story whispers a question across time. Will we, like the Greeks, blind ourselves to the cost of our achievements? Or will we finally acknowledge the price that has always been paid in human flesh? The marble halls still echo with his cries. The mosaics still conceal the stains of innocent blood. And in our own gleaming cities, in our own proud institutions, the same ancient horrors wear new faces, speak in new tongues, but endure unchanged. We are them. They are us. Time is no barrier to cruelty, only an excuse for forgetting it.